There we go. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of 914 Wired, which is a show about politics, education, and culture in Westchester. It's a weekly podcast available wherever you like to listen to podcasts. My co-hosts are Peter Moses and Ardina Seward. Unfortunately, Peter is recovering from a recent surgery. He should be back. We think he's going to be back next week. I am very optimistic that Peter's back. I've been talking to him. He's feeling better. He's coming up the curve. But for at least for today, we've got Nitin Gupta sitting in for Peter. Welcome,
Hello.
Nitin.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Dr. Gupta is a pediatrician in Westchester, and when we had this show on WVOX, Nitin was one of our co-hosts. Ardina Seward, of course, the scheduler, the Yonkers Bureau of 914 Wired, and I guess one of the original people of Westchester, Eye on the Radio, which we've now reconstituted and turned into a podcast. My guest today, our guest, is Cynthia Turnquest Jones. So Cynthia, I would say author, activist, mom, Mount Vernon resident. What have I left out? What have I left out, Cynthia?
Wife, librarian, educator. Hey.
You know what you left out? You are, like me, a former member of the Mount Vernon Board of Education.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
And I think that needs to be mentioned because that, you know how they have license plates for, former prisoners of war, disabled American veterans. They should have something for former Mount Vernon Board of Education trustees, like a special category of license plate, so that
I think like a Nobel Peace Prize, actually.
Right, so people know when they see you on the street that you have been through something.
Yes. And I could walk around with like a cup, and they could just like put money.
Have you recovered from the experience?
I have recovered, and I see things totally different.
Yeah.
Not totally different, but it definitely taught me a lesson.
Yep.
And that it's not what you actually see. I don't think anything is actually what we see.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, by the way, I should say, for your benefit, audience and Dr. Gupta and Ardina, we were not on the Board of Ed at the same time. In fact, we were separated by a bunch of years.
Yeah.
I was on there for 5 years. Cynthia maybe for a shorter period of time. But why was it such a profound experience?
Because I've been an educator for 25 plus years. And so, but I love what I do. So I love being an educator, and I know what the problems are. And it's not like I know everything, but I also know the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it was going to be a solution-oriented position. I became school board member during the height of COVID. And so I'm a school board member during the height of COVID. Before we went into COVID, we were already in a crisis for literacy. During COVID, it became chaos of literacy, right? Children learning. And while I was sitting there, I was like, we're not addressing what the chaos is. We're not addressing what the crisis is. And it was a lot of, not a lot, but there were several people on the board who were actually self-serving, and they had other agendas. And so if the children, the parents, and the teachers are not on the agenda, there's a major problem.
Sure.
And so that was my issue.
I have some thoughts. I want to provide Ardina and Nitin, starting with Ardina, an opportunity to ask you about that.
Well, where do I begin? Maybe I should just make a very blunt point that historically, Mount Vernon has always had a history of just awful schools. Now the question is, why is that? Which has basically more from the time that I was a kid to the present, and that's a lot of time. Do the do the parents realize the disservice that they're doing to the children by not revamping the school district, or do they care at all?
So I have to say that the parents care.
Right,
The most dysfunctional parent cares, right?
right,
The thing is that in my observation is that I think that media malpractice plays a major role with the Mount Vernon City School District.
Media malpractice.
Media
define that.
malpractice.
All right,
Define that,
Media
please.
tell us. Yeah,
malpractice is
tell us what you mean
where
by that.
it's
Yeah.
like it's ran with. It's oh no, nobody's learning. That's an absolute, and therefore that is not true.
Yeah.
Right? So you have a cadre of individuals who are currently serving in City Hall in high places who are graduates of Mount Vernon City School District. And so if you're toting and constantly saying that this school district is terrible, nobody's learning, and no one's going anywhere, after a while, people start believing the lie.
Well, can I interrupt you just for a
Are
second?
there problems? Are there issues? Yes, there are
Yeah.
problems and there are issues. But you're talking to a mother who had two sons, who have two sons. Both of them had an IEP. That means that they were special needs in
Right.
regards to their learning, and they went to the school around the corner, and it was that school that diagnosed them and came up with the plan for them to overcome now. My oldest son is 25. He just finished buying his co-op, 25.
Right,
And
you
he
got
went to Mount
services,
Vernon.
and if you had an IEP, you got services through the
Right.
district.
And the
Right.
services were excellent. That school in particular, that school, they talk about that school so terrible. I was even afraid to send them there, but I was studying to become an administrator. And one of the things that they said at Bank Street College was, can your child attend a public school? You're an administrator in a public school. Can your child attend a public school? So I put them in Mount Vernon City School District, and I am telling you, they were taken care of.
Right,
But
and
taking
so
care of them is one thing. The other thing is the litmus test is, how do these kids do on Regents exams? What percentage of these kids go to college? And what's their proficiency when they get out of high school? Are they reading at a standard rate? Taking care of and educating are two different things.
I know that when I say taken care of, I'm also talking about educate. I just told you that both of my sons, they left Mount Vernon City School District and went to Mount St. Michael Academy and got
Okay.
in with no problem, right?
Okay.
And so you know
Yeah, I'm sorry. My
so
cat just knocked the camera over. But
that's
go
all
ahead.
right. The cat, because
That's
the
the
cat
podcast.
kind of like the cat kind
Oh,
of
man.
agrees with what I'm saying. So you're like, come
the
on,
podcast cat
Right?
on this show
Say hi,
is
Buddha.
it's a significant character. It's a significant character.
Oh my God.
The cat was on the last episode too.
If you drive around, I think the New York State exam for third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grades
Right.
is in April for English and math. I need you to drive around Scarsdale,
Right.
Hartsdale, New Rochelle, and see the signs that the parents have on their lawns that says, "Do not let your child take the New York State exam."
Right.
And so we have parents who are in Mount Vernon, their children are taking the New York State exam. So if you have in a school that's in an area like Scarsdale and only 10 students took the exam, do you know how that percentage looks?
It's, right,
And then they
it's skewed.
pit
Right.
they pit them against Mount Vernon,
Right.
right? But
Where the kids are taking the exam.
right, but the
and
New
then
York
in
State
a way,
exam, but at Philston they don't take a New York State exam.
Ah.
Right.
Ha! Understand what I'm
Okay.
saying? So, and then you have other schools in other places, because United States is not number one, but you have other schools that are in other places, and the kind of exam that they receive is an exam where they have to give their opinion and explain why you are why this is the answer. A B C D um, exam is not.
I see what you're
Uh,
saying. I understand. It's
do you
not
understand?
standardized. It's not standardized. So
Right.
it's not across the board. In other words, the point is well taken. The kid in Fieldston, if that kid isn't taking that exam, then that kid is being compared to the Mount Vernon child who's taking the exam. And so the
Ah,
scores are
Yeah.
skewed. But still, the bottom line is how many of those kids from the Mount Vernon school system end up in top tier colleges.
I do not know those numbers,
Right.
right?
So I'm going to pivot.
And just for the record, I didn't go to a top tier college, but I'm
Right.
badass.
That is
So
awesome.
that's a great
That's
way to
great.
pivot. So you
Yeah.
have what is known as, Cynthia, you have Moxie, and you won the Moxie Award.
Yes.
Tell me what the Moxie Award was about.
So I need to look that up. I need to look up what Moxie is. I had to look it up because
Well, you just
it's
said
having courage.
yeah.
It's a person actually having courage and being able to address a problem with a solution, right? But having
Okay.
courage to do it because there's a lot of people that
Hmm.
they know what the problem is, they know what the solution is, but they don't have the courage to say this is the solution, this is what is wrong, and this is what you have to do is right, right?
Force
Critical
of
thinking.
character. The
Critical
definition is
thinking.
force of character, determination, or underlined nerve.
Courage is the act of doing something that other people uh, do not do,
So
and
tell me.
it's something
So
is something that is uncomfortable to you,
right.
right? And so you'll do it. So I learned about the word courage because when I went to Memphis and walked through the museum where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered, they had a poster. On the poster were black children standing against a wall and they were being sprayed by the hose. And on the top of it said courage. So during the children's marches when they were fighting for the the civil rights act, those were children. They weren't adults. They were children who kept getting arrested over and over and over and over again. There was some girls was like, we knew we was getting arrested, so we made sure that our hair was done and we made sure that we had a bag with our combs and brushes and things. That's courage. That's moxie.
It's toughness. Yeah, no doubt.
Mm.
Yeah.
No
So
doubt.
yeah,
And you won the Moxie Award from whom?
from the Westchester Chambers Commerce.
Chamber of
Uh,
Commerce, yeah.
yeah.
Now, you were also telling me, is there some linkage or maybe it's separate? I might be confusing two different things, that you were involved with Junior League of Central Westchester.
Oh yeah, I'm a member of several organizations, volunteer
Okay.
organizations.
Right.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is one.
Right?
Also, Black Political Caucus,
What's it
Black
like
Women's
with the
Political
junior
Caucus.
league, though? I'm intrigued
but
with the junior
Junior
league.
League,
Yeah,
but
let's
Yes.
talk
Junior
about
League
let's talk about
is
Junior League.
also Junior League of Central Westchester. They have various chapters, and
Right.
so our mission is to volunteer in places that are needed, right? So you find the need, and then you get the solution. So
So may I ask you? Yeah.
when I spoke
May I
to
ask you a
Charles,
question?
what's
I got
up?
before you go on. You talk about Junior League. Now,
White
let,
gloves, patent
well,
leather.
you know what? What comes to mind when you think of Junior League, Ardina?
Oh my God! Do I don't want to say it on. I can't say it
No.
on the air.
Well,
I'll just say
I'm not
it's.
familiar with it. What is?
Oh, Nixon, Junior League. Junior League are basically the icon are the ladies who balance teacups on their knees and watercress sandwiches.
right.
I mean, which is
Oh,
That's why
Ain't
that's what,
nobody eating.
and basically,
no, it's a
We don't
stereotype,
we don't
right?
we don't we don't we don't we don't
We
balance teacups. We
so
drink wine. But in the
okay,
meantime,
yeah,
between time,
right.
check it out.
Yeah.
So I know that when individuals think about, so I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a black female sorority, and I'm
right.
also a member of Junior League, where the majority of the women are white.
That's what I'm alluding to, Cynthia. And
So then
I
say
don't
it.
want to be sarcastic. You know,
That's my
gotta,
picture.
That's not
I have to
sarcastic.
My
the
picture.
the T
My
thing
picture,
sitting
bro.
on the knee was
right.
kind of sarcastic,
Historically, it was
but
all
we
white upper class females. So for a
correct.
black woman to belong to Junior League is revolutionary. Charlie,
So
you want to say something?
That's it.
that's I'm glad that you said that. So I was inspired to become a part of Junior League because the immediate past president, Danielle Henry of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, was a member of Junior League, but up by Bear Mountain,
Right,
right? And so it's about volunteering.
right.
And the in the volunteering is a solution to a problem, right? That's what I'm there for.
Okay.
Solution to the problem. So when Charles called me, I was at the Junior League house. We have a house on Route 22, and we were wrapping gifts for children who are in foster care. So what? Okay, so I used to be a social worker at Abbott House in Irvington. When it is time for this holiday season, the social workers like myself would go into a huge room, and they had coats and toys, etc., and so forth. And so we would pick out the coats and toys for the children, and then we would wrap them up and take them
Yeah.
to the foster care house. I was always assigned to Brooklyn, so I headed out to Brooklyn with my gifts, and I had maybe 21 children on my caseload. But with Junior League, they Abbott House is still doing that same thing, but with Junior League, what they did, and I cannot tell you how long they've been doing it, but I've been in Junior League for 3 years now, and they are partnered with Abbott House, and what they do is they get the list of the children, and the children write their wish lists.
Wow. Wow.
And so you chose, if you want to pick 10 children, go ahead. You want to pick one, go ahead. You pick you tell them who you want. I picked a student I wanted somebody in first grade
Right.
and, 6 years old. That's what I picked. You could pick somebody who is 18 years old,
Right.
and because, foster care goes up to 21, you can pick somebody that's 21, right? And whatever's on their wish list, that's what we get for them, right?
Wow.
And so the wish is like, somebody will look at the wish and be like, the wish is crazy, but the wish is crazy to the person who does not understand that that wish of that child is something that they've never been able to have,
That's a great
right?
point. That's a
Right.
great
So
point.
I just want to give a shout out. We have on our list, we have 150 children, but we brought in more than one gift for each child, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like 3 gifts per child.
Yeah.
Me, I went out like a scout on a new route and brought 7 gifts for this one child, right? We had to wrap all these gifts. So Junior League was wrapping gifts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that we can deliver all these gifts to Abbott House, so that their social worker can go and take it from as an extra gift or extra gifts under the Christmas tree.
Well,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a great story,
And we're
it's also
also a part of, do you know how much Pampers cost?
Expensive.
Yeah.
Very.
Nita knows, right?
Do you
Oh,
know
yeah.
how much
Right.
diapers cost?
probably a lot.
They are. Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
we are part of that act. That if I'm not mistaken, I forgot which, cannot remember the name off the cuff, but we are part of that.
My sister's closet?
Yeah, a part of them also.
Yeah.
Because the Pampers, and I didn't even know, I had to go and walk through an aisle and see how much it costs to buy a pair of Pampers, and then they're
crazy.
taxed.
Yeah.
And so between the prices increasing and the tax, it was just absolutely ridiculous. So we're a part of making sure that awareness is out there, and for that price not to get outlandish, as well as the taxing of it.
Yeah.
I'm
so
fascinated.
that's-
I'm fascinated by your experience with Junior League. So all kicks and giggles aside, my picture of Junior League is like you guys were saying: white women in Scarsdale and Pelham and Bronxville, a social oriented group. But then I know that there are chapters that are more politically active, and they get involved with their school boards, and they provide backing for people running for board of education. So there's that angle on it too. I guess you're like a Renaissance person,
Okay.
right?
So I think kind of going back to the word moxie, I think it's almost safe to say we could rename that to the Badass Award. And now we're on a podcast, so we can actually use that word, right?
That's right.
I'm not going to be
Yeah,
it's
the
not
women
gonna get
that were
fined
the
on-
women that were honored the other night, they're all badasses.
There we go. Charles, are we okay with that word?
We're
I
okay.
don't know.
So
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes.
Podcasts are not regulated by the FCC the way the radio station was. So yes,
Yeah.
it's a different standard. Don't lose your mind, but yes.
There we go.
Charlie
So,
the
the
Censor.
Badass Award
The
winner.
Badass Award winner.
There we go.
That being said, what is on the horizon for your next project, or are you just enhancing what you're already doing, Cynthia?
So, in I want to say 2014. I don't know if I have the right date, but when were the Obamas in the White House? 2014, 2015?
That was
2008, 2008 to 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2014, Michelle Obama started Let Girls Learn.
Yeah.
And it is exactly what it is. Let Girls Learn. There's a large percentage of girls who do not attend school, and the conversation about education does not happen. It's still in 2023 that still happens. So
Yeah.
Barack Obama broke off My Brother's Keeper from the White House, and it still continues. Michelle Obama thought as though Let Girls Learn was going to continue, but the other president came in and he was like, we don't need any Let Girls Learn. So you have the permission to use the wording Let Girls Learn. So I started Let Girls Learn here in Mount Vernon, and it's where bringing women in to sit with girls and have conversations, engage in activities, right? But then I also am doing it in Belize, Central America, alongside with my one of my best friends. Her name is Deborah Sewell Erskine. She is the CEO of Lum Foundation. So we also go to Belize and we do the same exact thing. There is nothing different that I do here than what I do there. So with Let Girls Learn, I had some of my girls with me who have been attending Let Girls Learn in Mount Vernon since the time I started. This year was the 7th year, right? And so the conversations with them and exposing them to books where they can see themselves. So that means that I am introducing them to books that are mirrors and sliding glass doors. And those are books where they can see the image of themselves. So there was a little girl with me on Friday night, and her name is Navy Snell. And Navy said to me, "The mayor is a woman?" I said, "Yes." And then Judge Nichelle Johnson walked in and said, "Oh, I heard about you girls." And they said, "The judge is a woman?" I said, "Yeah." And so exposing them to this early in life plays a major, major role. So it's just a continuation of exposing our girls, and I'm the mother of two boys, right?
Yeah.
But boys, there's a cadre of things for boys.
Yeah.
It's not a cadre of things for girls, you know?
That's a great point. What about, do you also educate them about domestic violence, which is a problem in our community?
So I haven't done it here okay. We have a detective by the name of Montika Jones. So I've had Montika come in and speak to the girls about that because she sees it from a different angle than what I see it, right?
So
When
Ardina, you know Damon,
Yeah, Damon was on the show.
right?
That's his wife.
That's his wife.
Oh.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so then you also have in Belize we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like what to look for, the red flags of a person, and what kind of people those that like to abuse, and I'm using that word, that like to abuse, who do they look for? And do you fit that characteristic?
Cynthia, you got so much to talk about. It's incredible. I don't even know. We probably need another half hour with you. Well, you mentioned a minute ago Black Women's Political Caucus is one of the
Yes.
entities that you're kind of involved with in Westchester. What's your involvement there?
I am a member.
Okay.
What we do is we support women who want to go into the political arena.
Arena.
Right.
Because that's what that is. That's an
That
arena
group
right there.
supports candidates.
Yes, we do.
I've got a question now.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Ethan.
sir.
So you are a doer. You are a badass. Would you? I've got a theory in my head, but would you run for political office again?
You put her on the spot, Nathan.
Well,
might
this
be-
is because
No, but we might be breaking news here on 914 Wired.
I mean, I'm just like, wow. But here's the thing: I know so many people who, I mean, you're amazing, and others who are so amazing. And then it's like, I ask, would you run for politics?
That is a really good question. I really like that question. The answer is yes,
Oh.
I would. But I have to be in a certain kind of mindset because as badass as I'm a badass because I you can't, the warring that they do where they say this is a love. I don't do that,
Yeah.
right? And we teach our children not to do that, and then we become grown adults warring with each other and talking nasty and bad about each other, and then walking down the aisle together. It doesn't work like that.
Well, I've heard people say politics is war without weapons. Do you agree with that or no?
I agree.
Wow. That's a great statement.
I agree.
That's a great.
And what's interesting because as a librarian, I have a collection in the library. I'm a librarian, a school librarian in Harlem. We have a collection that's called Civics for All. Now, if I was in a Civics for All class before I became a school board member, I would have probably never stepped down that day. And so right now I have junior student council at my school. They are third, fourth, and fifth graders. And they are reading some of the Civics for All collection. And they are practicing. You need to practice this ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have a bunch of George Santoses running all over the place. That brother is incredible.
Listen, I'm gonna miss the fact that he's gone because where'd the entertainment go?
Yeah. So Cynthia, that's a great place to end our conversation because we need to have a whole conversation about Congress, and there's a couple of very visible races going on, not the least of which is Bowman versus Latimer. Latimer put in his paperwork today. That race is on, and I think it's going to be one of the most watched races in the United States of America. Next week on this show, we're going to have Sandra Bernabe.
Oh, yeah.
She's a well-known social worker and is from your corner of the professional world. And Sandy signed a letter asking George Latimer not to run. So we're gonna have a conversation about that and what does that mean for that race because he's running. So is it going to be a divide within the Democratic Party? Is it going to be coalescing to the Democratic Party? Is it going to be one great big referendum on Israel? I'm not sure, but I have some thoughts, and I want to hear what everyone in the audience has to think about that. Cynthia Turnquest Jones, thank you so much for coming on the show. Amazing. Always interesting to talk to you. I hope you'll come back and tell us a little bit more. We found out today that it's not impossible. Cynthia Turnquest Jones might run for office again. I guess you need to be in the right mindset to do that, but I can understand why you could be very, very successful at it because you'll succeed at whatever you put your mind to. So thank you for coming on here, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
And best of luck and best wishes to what you are doing right now.
Thank you.
I love it.
On behalf of Ardina Seward and myself and Peter Moses, who we hope is going to be back next week, Nitin Gupta, who's sitting in for Peter, thank you. Another episode of 914 Wired. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
night.